Good morning. Welcome to UUCC, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. We are a group of spiritual freethinkers who gather to celebrate life, build community, and better the world. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. I'm Carrie Teague, your worship associate for this morning, and the service today will be led by our member, Jody Brown. Thank you to everyone on this morning's worship team, also including music by Bill Mells, and Religious Education for Children 3 and over by Pat and Kaya Mells. If this is your first visit, welcome. We invite you to sign the visitor's book in the entryway, and whether it's your first visit or your 1,000th, we are so glad that you came. We plan on continuing with hybrid worship services, so you can join us each week here in person, on Zoom, or later on YouTube. To help us connect better with our friends watching from home, please turn around and give a wave back by the clock back there and the camera. At the end of the service, we will invite our friends on Zoom to turn on their cameras and return the wave. There are a lot of announcements today, so hang in there while we go through all of these. If you have a joy or sorrow to share, please fill out the card on or near your chair, and we invite you to bring them forward and place them in the basket up here after Bill rings the chimes and begins to play. You can also come forward and drop a pebble or a shell into the column of water if you have a joy or sorrow that you'd prefer not to share. You're invited to join us today for a meal with members and friends immediately following the church worship service today. Enjoy delicious food and great conversation, greet old friends, and meet some new ones. And of course, all are welcome to stay and partake, even if you didn't bring anything yourself. We always have plenty. And after today's potluck, to help people get started on their homespun holiday crafts for the holiday sale, we're going to be meeting to do that, and then we'll be crafting again on November 9th to prepare for the holiday sale. Please feel free to bring your works in progress for the holiday season, and it's way more fun to craft with friends. Global Dignity Day is Wednesday, October 15th. We're sponsoring the viewing of the documentary Running to Stand Still, Migrants Search for Hope in the Promised Land, from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. at the Macedon Public Library, which is located at 30 West Main Street, Macedon. Running to Stand Still is a documentary that humanizes the immigration experience, focusing on the stories of migrants and their journeys. Pre-registration is required, and there's a QR code on the back, and the link is also in the back, and it will be in the chat. So all of the announcements get posted in the back on the sideboard back there, so just look for those if you're interested in getting them. On the third Friday of every month, beginning on October 17th, which is coming up, we'll be hosting Justice Table, a community potluck from 6 to 8 p.m. Children are welcome. Bring a friend, a snack, or a dish to share, your concerns, your plans, your dreams to make our community more just and joyful for all. October 17th is the evening before the next No Kings rally. So we will be discussing First Amendment rights, and you're welcome to bring along ideas and or supplies to make signs to carry on the 18th. Contact Danielle Lyon with any questions, and Danielle's in the back, so if you don't know her, she's waiting. Okay. St. John Fisher University's annual Marvin Mitch Memorial Lecture will be held at the university campus on October 23rd and also on Zoom. This year's theme is Immigrant Stories, A Call to Justice. And to register for either option, click on the link from the weekly email, and it is really long. You can also just kind of like check it out in the back. I'm not going to read this thing off, it's crazy. The 199th meeting of the New York State Convention of Universalists will be held on October 24th and 25th at the UU Church of Canton in Canton, New York. Featured speakers will be the Reverend Dr. Sophia Bentecourt, President of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and the Reverend Dr. Adam Robert-Smith, minister of the Universalist Church of West Hartford, Connecticut. See the weekly email for registration links. And it goes on. Need some hope? Join UU's in Syracuse for a concert. Emma's Revolution, an award-winning activist folk duo known for their powerful harmonies and songs that inspire movements for peace and justice, is playing at May Memorial Unitarian Universalist Society on Thursday, October 30th at 7 p.m. Pat Humphreys and Sandy O create music that speaks to the heart while calling us to action for a more just world. And whether you're passionate about environmental protection, human rights, or peace, their songs will move you. All are welcome. You can purchase tickets online. The link's in the back. It's also in the newsletter. Okay, the fundraising committee encourages everyone to join us for our community trunk or treat on Saturday, October 25th from 4 to 6 p.m. Okay, are there any other announcements for the good of the community? Isn't it great how active we are and all the things that we're involved in and doing, and that just makes me super happy. So, as we prepare to be fully together, I remind you to silence your phones and devices, anything that's going to beep or buzz during the service and cause problems. Okay, we now enter a space of worship. Now's the time to bring forward any joys or sorrows or come up to drop in a pebble. Would Miss Poppy like to come help light the chalice? Miss Poppy? I forgot to ask her before the service, so luckily she's willing. I invite you to join me in our chalice lighting words. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, and celebration of the life we share together.
Our opening words this morning are by Dan Lambert. You are welcome here, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what your background. You are welcome here to join us as we proclaim worth in our spiritual journeys. You are welcome to join us as we sing songs that uplift our very beings. You are welcome to join us in community as we learn, live, and love together. All are welcome as we worship that which gives us meaning and value. No matter what you call this building, this hour, or this gathering of people, we worship as one body, illuminated by the light of the chalice. And now, if you will rise as you are comfortable to do so, join me in singing hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
For the
I do have a story this morning if anybody would like to come up and listen a little closer, or if you're fine where you are, that's fine too. This is called Why the Trees Lose Their Leaves, and it's a story from the Northern Cherokee Nation. In the early times, the trees and animals were always able to talk to one another. They lived close to each other and shared many things. But every year the cold time came and the birds would fly south to where it remained warm and would return with their families in the spring when the warm season returned. One year, as the cold season approached, Sparrow was injured. He would not be strong enough to fly to the warm lands with his family by himself, so he made his family fly south to the warm lands without him. Injured, he knew he would not survive the cold season, so he sought the help of the trees. He approached Oak. "Oh, Oak, I am injured and cannot fly. The cold season approaches, and if I do not find shelter before then, surely I shall die. Please, Oak, let me shelter among your leaves and branches during the cold times, that I may heal and greet my family on their return in the spring." But Oak was a crusty old tree and did not relish the idea of having a guest in the cold time. So he told Sparrow, "Sparrow, go find somewhere else to spend the cold time. I do not wish you to spend the cold time with me." And poor Sparrow was hurt in his spirit and turned away. So Sparrow went to Maple and asked her, "Maple, I am hurt and not able to fly to the warm lands with my family for the cold season. Please let me shelter among your leaves and branches during the cold times, or surely I will perish." And Maple, though a very sweet tree, did not enjoy the thought of a guest for the cold time, and she too turned to Sparrow away. You ask someone else to shelter you, Sparrow. I do not wish you to spend the cold time with me." And again, hurt in spirit, Sparrow was turned away. Sparrow went in turn to each of the trees and asked each for shelter in the cold time, and each and every time Sparrow was turned away until there was no tree left to ask except pine. With no hope left, but not willing to accept death, Sparrow approached Pine. "Pine, I am injured and not able to fly south to warm lands with my family. If I do not find shelter before the cold time, I will surely perish. Please, let me shelter among your leaves and branches during the cold time." Pine thought to himself, "I am the least of the trees. What can I do?" But his heart heard Sparrow's plight. "Sparrow, my leaves are tiny, more like needles. My branches are not as many as other trees, but what I have, you are welcome to share." And so Sparrow spent the cold time with Pine. And when the warm times returned in the spring, Sparrow's family returned also. And Sparrow had healed over the cold time and flew to greet their return. Creator had seen and heard all that had happened between Sparrow and the trees. And Creator called a great council of the trees and spoke to them. "You, who were given so much, who had so much, would not share the least of what you had with Sparrow in his need? Because of this, from this day forward, when the cold time is upon the land, your leaves shall wither and die and blow away." Creator then spoke to Pine. "Pine, you who had the least of all the trees gave so much. You have touched my spirit. When the cold times come, you of all the trees shall keep your leaves. They shall remain green throughout all seasons for the gift you have given me through Sparrow. And that is why, to this day, that when cold time comes to the land, all the leaves wither and die and blow away, except for pine."
Now is the time in our service to join together in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts of both time and money support our church in its work. Each week, we'd like to spotlight a group or committee and thank them for their gift of time. This week I'm going to actually highlight two. The first one is religious education. We could really use a little help there, and people interested in finding out more can contact Nancy Reed or Pat or Kaya Melvs, all of whom are here today. And then I'd also like to bring up we have a new designated closer position, which is basically the person who's responsible for closing up the church at the end of services. And we're trying to rotate it through so that somebody does that about once every 12 weeks or so. We could use a few more people to sign up for that. We actually have 2 Sundays in November, the first Sunday and the last Sunday in November, that aren't signed up for yet. So there's a sign-up sheet back with the announcements, and if you are willing to do that, there's a list of all the things that you got to make sure are done in the church to close it up. But it's a new position that we started doing because things were being left undone when sometimes people don't know they're the last person in the church, or they don't know what to do or what's been done. So basically, it's just somebody to kind of eyeball it as the last person out of the church to make sure things are locked up and there isn't garbage that's left unemptied that's then really stinky and a mess for the following week, those kind of things. So if you'd be willing to help out with that, you shouldn't have to do it often. We're trying to rotate through about once every 12 weeks. So 1/4 of our plate collection for the harvest season will go to our service partner, Finger Lakes Justice Partnership. Finger Lakes Justice Partnership helps weave together the efforts of the region's diverse justice-seeking individuals, organizations, and institutions. Through advocacy for members of historically marginalized groups of all kinds, they work to move the Finger Lakes away from passive acquiescence to injustice and toward an active embrace of anti-racism, community building, mutual aid, and understanding. You can give to this morning's offering by placing cash or a check into the basket as it comes around, or by one of the options on the screen. Please make a note that your gift is intended for today's offering. We now gratefully accept the offering. We have all joys this morning, which is great. So the first one's from Jeff. He had a wonderful family trip to Disney World, and he's also very excited for fall. Kaya went to Canada to hang out with a friend at Niagara Falls for the day. That sounds really fun. Michelle's excited about her birthday. Well, actually, it might be a sorrow. I don't know. Is it a joy or a sorrow? But I'm hoping it's a joy. Her birthday is October 31st. Someone else who's unnamed has a big joy for this beautiful day in the neighborhood. And I have a big joy that Terrell and I, most of you probably already know, we got married 3 weeks ago yesterday, and we just got back earlier this week from a really phenomenal trip to Ireland together for our honeymoon. So I'm now going to drop a stone for these and all the joys and sorrows left in the silence of our hearts. Whatever is in your heart today, we are with you. Join with me in saying we are with you as I drop this. We are with you. All right, and now it is time to send the children down for RE. At this time, if there are any children who would like to attend religious education, please go downstairs with Kaya and Pat.
Now is the time in our service where we share some centering and silent time together. Our meditation this morning is a meditation on letting go by Carol Almond Morton. Make sure you're all in a nice, comfortable position. Take a couple of deep breaths. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, please do. Many of us carry a burden of worry, anxiety over the state of the world, worries about money, about our environment, our families, about peace and justice. May we trust that nothing will get worse for us putting that burden down for a moment. May we let go of what weighs us down. May we find that we can set down worry for longer and longer periods of time. In our experience of letting go, may we be open to the possibility that we need not pick up our worries again. May we find passion and strength to work for change where we have the power to do so, and to let go where we do not. If not forever, let us put down any worries or anxiety for our time of quiet. Maybe we be quiet together. Before I start my reflection, I have a reading that's called Let Go by Lois Van Leer. A milkweed pod, split open, spills its feathery white seeds into the air. Let go of all that binds you, of all that burdens you, of what you carry, of all that shames you, of fear, of trespasses and transgressions, of woundedness. Let go of guilt. Let go of anger. Let go of small-mindedness and pettiness, of ways of being that no longer work for you, of compulsions that consume your living. Let go of what you cannot change. Let go of regret, of what haunts you. Let go of pain. Let go of ways in which you missed the mark. Let go. The title of my reflection today is The Season of Letting Go, and the subtitle is Lessons We Can Learn from the Trees and Others. Letting go, this is a lesson that I have struggled with for a majority of my life. And since researching and working on this reflection, I have seen the theme appear even more often than before, but that could be because we are in the very season where the leaves are letting go. Every fall, the leaves set an example about how to let go. They don't struggle to hold on to their leaves. I don't know how sentient they are, so I'm not going to say that they know their leaves will return in the spring. Zena Akurdi, in her blog from January 24th, 2022, wondered too when she asked, "Does the tree ever think of the leaves it has shed?" She goes on to say, "A silly question, considering the tree lacks the ability to think or feel at all, at least according to our limited human knowledge." I'm not sure I agree with her on that, but they certainly don't worry about losing their leaves in the fall. In fact, I found a quote by Donald Miller that says, "All the trees are losing their leaves, and not one of them is worried." Today I'm going to share with you not only some of the things we can learn from the trees about letting go, but also some of the other things I have learned about letting go over the years. In doing research for this reflection, one of the interesting articles I came across is titled "The Wisdom of Letting Go," in which the author, Hugh Asher, a certified forest bathing guide and forest therapy practitioner, I didn't know there was such a thing, lays out 7 lessons we can learn from the trees as they shed their leaves in the autumn. I would like to briefly share these lessons with you. Lesson 1, letting go as a means of survival, the necessity of release. From the tree's point of view, they let go of their leaves in order to undergo a sort of tree hibernation so that they may survive the winter and come alive again in the spring. They have to let go in order to live. There are times in our lives when we need to let go of something in order to survive, whether it be something physical or some belief that is holding us back. May we learn from the trees how to release for survival. Lesson 2, embracing change and transition, the beauty of impermanence. I think we all realize that growth involves change, and change is often growth. The trees, with their beauty, point out to us that we too should look for the beauty in the process as we transition. I don't know about you, but I look forward to the trees as they transition from fully leafed to bare, then again in the spring as the buds form and they begin to grow their leaves back. These transitions each have their own beauty. We should look for the beauty in our own transitions as well. Now, whenever I hear the word transition, it takes me back to birth. I was a childbirth educator for many years, and we defined labor, transition in labor, as confusion. I had one colleague, however, who looked forward to transition because, which is often the most painful and difficult part of labor, because she knew that that meant the end of labor and the birth of her baby was very near. She found the beauty in that particular transition. Lesson 3, trusting the process of renewal and trust in the cycles of life. Now, as a pagan, I live by the cycles of life by following the pagan wheel of the year. The very nature of the circle implies the trust in renewal. We also see that in our daily lives as the sun sets. We all trust that the sun will rise again in the morning. I am sure that you can think of many more examples in your own life where you trust the cycles of life and the process of renewal. How lovely of the trees to set this example for us. So lesson 4, discernment in letting go, the balance of holding on and letting go. I think this is the largest part of my struggle, trying to maintain that very balance. I love the Aeneas Nin quote, "And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." How many of you have heard that quote? Yeah. Sometimes the balance between letting go and holding on becomes more obvious, but we still have to make that decision. And it's funny because I have GERD. This is not in my notes here, but I'm going to tell you this part anyway. I've had reflux for probably 6 or 7 years now, and I refuse to change my diet. I refuse to give up the foods that you need to give up until the pain of the reflux became greater than the inability to give up the food. So this past week, I have changed my diet. Lesson 5, Patience in the process of letting go, the role of patience and timing. I think the actual tree from the Lord of the Rings, Treebeard, expresses it nicely in a couple of quotes. How many of you read? Everybody's read Lord of the Rings, right? Treebeard? Oh, not everybody. Okay, well, anyway, there's this tree there. His name is Treebeard. And he says, I almost feel that I dislike you both, but do not let us be hasty. And he has another quote where he says, I used to spend a week just breathing. Again, if we listen to the trees, we can learn the lesson of slowing down and being more patient. Lesson 6, embracing change, resilience through adaptation. I'm going to share another personal story here. For most of my adult life, I was opposed to vaccines. Yes, I was one of those anti-vaxxers. It took the pandemic to make me question this stance. I came to realize that I am not really opposed to vaccines. I prefer to be selective about vaccines. But what happened was, when my children were babies, I wanted to selectively choose which vaccines they should have, but every pediatrician I went to said all or none. So I was like, well, none then. And that's how I became an anti-vaxxer. And how many years later, as I struggled to take one for the team with the COVID vaccine, I realized that is what had made me think the way I thought. And I was finally able to let go of that position and return to my original position of being selective about vaccines. Finally, lesson 7, recognizing the beauty of change. This formation is beautiful. I go back to the cycle of losing leaves and having them return in all their beauty in the spring. Who doesn't admire the fall foliage or the beauty of the bare branches becoming green again? I would also like to point out that I believe the butterfly may be another example of the concept that change can be beautiful. As I have said, I have struggled with letting go for most of my life. My struggle begins with my upbringing. Don't we always blame our parents? My parents were hoarders, although I didn't really know it until after they were gone and we had to clean up what they left behind. Dad left us first. We knew he was a hoarder, but not the extent to which it manifested. I suppose I should tell you that we lived in a 5-bedroom, 3.5-bath house with a huge family room. I mean, there was so much space in that house, and we didn't realize how much Dad had filled all that space. But let me give you one example of, I hope I can say this with a straight face. We found 5 recycling containers full of UPC codes that Dad was waiting to put into the computer. Despite the fact that we had all told him many times, the UPC codes were already in the computer. That's just one example. There's so many more. Mom passed a couple of years ago. My sister owns the house now. She has been cleaning it up for almost 2 years and still isn't anywhere near finished. My mom was a much more organized hoarder than my dad. She hid it much better. She kept copies of every single letter she ever received. Now, my mom was 91 when she passed, okay? My sister showed me this pile of letters last month. That's only one example of things. I mean, I could go on. And then there's me. I have a library of over 500 books. I have 8 bookcases full, some actually overflowing. My friend Nancy cataloged them for me during the pandemic. I really do need to go through these, though. I don't need over 500 books. There are so many books there that I've never read. There are books there that I'm never going to reread. Why am I holding on to them? I don't know, but it does make me feel good to go into my library and see all these bookcases, but I don't know. That's in it. Another part of my upbringing involves corporal punishment. I grew up in a time when being beaten with a fraternity paddle was an acceptable form of discipline. I don't know if any of you have that experience. I hope not. I have come to realize that all this did was create fear in me. Are any of you familiar with Louise Hay's book, Heal Your Body? Anybody know this? Nobody knows this book. Okay. The subtitle is The Mental Causes for Physical Illness and the Metaphysical Way to Overcome Them. What she does, it's a series of columns. Column 1 is what is your ailment. Column 2 is what's it called? I've got to find the first page here. The probable cause. And then the third column is new thought pattern. It's affirmations on how to get rid of whatever the mental cause is to make your things better. And every time I look up an illness in this book, my probable cause is fear. Every single time. And it's only been since writing this reflection that I really connected that. I mean, I've noticed it before, but it's like, so I've come to realize I need to let go of that fear. Nobody's going to be beating me with a paddle anymore, you know? I don't have anything to be afraid of. I'll let you know when I get rid of it. Maybe you've already learned the lesson that letting go comes more from a mindset of abundance rather than lack. Here's a quote from Bryant H. McGill. Abundance is the process of letting go. That which is empty can receive. I think both of my parents suffered from a mindset of lack rather than abundance, and they've passed that on to me. But I am really working hard on letting go of that and changing that. I need more abundance in my life, so I've got to let go of that. Maybe you have already learned the lesson that letting go leaves room for something new to come in. Last year, my husband and I moved from a 900 square foot apartment to a 1,900 square foot, 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. We have filled every corner of that house. There is so much storage space. I feel like my parents all over again. I should add that not only did we have the 900 square foot apartment, but we also rented the downstairs apartment, another 400 square feet. That was my piano studio. And we additionally rented a 10 by 10 storage unit for the stuff that wouldn't fit in the apartment. And that's how we managed to fill every corner of the house. Wouldn't you think that when we moved, we would have let go of, like, what did we need in that storage unit? Nothing. It's very nicely stored in the basement of our house now. We're in our 70s now, and I'm not sure how much longer we will be able to live in this beautiful house that we love, by the way. I've given myself the next 2 years, and actually it was 2 years starting in June, and here we are 4 months into it. Have I gotten rid of anything yet? Not really. I forgot, I have. I have already succeeded in getting rid of one of my three pianos. All right, I need to tell you the story of my pianos, okay? I don't know if you guys have heard the story. You probably haven't heard these stories. I was giving this reflection at Central Square last week, and I think they've heard the story before, but I don't think you guys have. My first piano, one of the members of the May Memorial Choir, because I used to belong to May Memorial, Hildegard Vandersloot, I always like to say her name, passed away, and another member of the choir sent an email to the rest of us and asked if there was anyone interested in her baby grand piano. I couldn't raise my hand fast enough. I have wanted a baby grand piano all my life, and I just came to a point where I realized I was never going to get one. But I got hers. I'm so excited. I love that piano. And that piano has some sentimental attachment. I mean, we sat next to each other in choir, and I always like to say her name. I always like to pass on her name. Hildegard shared that piano with me, and I'm very pleased to share that. Now, the second piano also comes from a May Memorial Choir member, Bob, whose last name is escaping me at the moment. Bob's passed on. His widow originally wanted to sell it, but when she couldn't find anybody to buy it, she gave it to me. Of course, I still had to pay for moving it, but now that's the one I got rid of. This is really cute. I got a new piano student who didn't have a piano. I have another piano student who wanted a different piano. So this piano student gave her piano to the person who didn't have one, and I gave that piano student my other piano. And it worked out really well. My third piano is actually my first piano. It's the piano my grandfather bought for my mother when she went away to New England Conservatory of Music. That's the piano I learned to play on. It's a little 66 key keyboard, little tiny thing. And for the first 5 years of my first 5 years of my life, my dad traveled first in the Army and then with GE, and they had a trailer, and this piano lived in the trailer, and it was all over the country. But I have a sentimental attachment to that one too. Although it's going, I think my brother's gonna take it. Yay, one piano, that's all you need, one piano. I don't need 3 pianos. I will tell you, however, it feels really good to have let go at least of the one piano. I recently decided to restart my Discovery Toys business, and the room that was formerly my piano studio is now my Discovery Toys room. Letting go of the piano made room for the toys. Letting go, something new. Now, even though we moved last October, it took me until this past June to have the house ready enough to have a housewarming party. I made it a reverse housewarming party in that the invitation stated, "Please do not bring gifts. We have enough stuff already. Instead, be prepared to take something home with you." And it actually worked quite well. I managed to get rid of a lot of stuff, but there's still so much stuff left to get rid of. I really need to pack it up and give it to some worthy cause. So next, I'd like to share with you a quote from Henry David Thoreau. "It is pleasant to walk over the beds of these fresh, crisp, and rustling leaves. How beautifully they go to their graves. How gently they lay themselves down and turn to mold. Painted of 1,000 hues and fit to make beds of us living, so they troop to their last resting place, light and frisky. How many flutterings before they rest quietly in their graves. They that soared so loftily, how contentedly they return to dust again and are laid low, resigned to lie and decay at the foot of the tree and afford nourishment to new generations of their kind, as well as to flutter on high. They teach us how to die." Henry David Thoreau believes the lesson we should learn from the trees is how to die. And lastly, Jack Cornfield wrote an article in 2022 entitled "Letting Go." In it, he writes, "If you have the privilege of being with a person who is aware at the time of his or her death, you will find the questions such a person asks are simple. Did I love well? Did I live fully? Did I learn to let go?" He goes on to say, "Letting go is a central theme in spiritual practice as we see the preciousness and brevity of life. When letting go is called for, if we have not learned to do so, we suffer greatly. And when we get to the end of our life, we may have what is called a crash course. Sooner or later, we have to learn to let go and allow the changing mystery of life to move through us without our fearing it, without holding and grasping." He furthermore states, "Letting go and moving through life from one change to another brings the maturing of our spiritual being. In the end, we discover that to love and let go can be the same thing. Both ways do not seek to possess. Both allow us to touch each movement of this changing life and allow us to be there fully for whatever arises next." These are excerpts from his book, A Path with Heart. So to recap, Hugh Asher gave us 7 lessons he thought we could learn about letting go from the trees. These include, for survival, impermanence, renewal, balance, patience, adaptation, and beauty in change. I have learned that letting go is important for an abundance mindset and leaving room for the new. Henry David Thoreau says our lesson is learning how to die. And Jack Cornfield tells us that letting go is necessary for our spiritual growth. So now I would like you to consider, what have been your lessons in letting go? Okay. The snow grows white on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. A kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen. The wind is howling like this swirling storm inside. Couldn't keep it in, heaven knows I tried. Don't let them in, don't let them see. Be the good girl you always have to be. Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. Well, now they know. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. Turn away and slam the door. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway. Can't have a service without letting go without that song. Let's see. I got words first, right? Words first, then hymn? Okay, words first. I have words. Our closing words by Lois Van Leer. Having let go, set our intentions, named our curiosity, committed our energies, and given ourselves over to lives of balance, purpose, and meaning, let us begin again in love. And our closing hymn is number 163, For the Beauty of the Earth. I want to tell you that since I couldn't find hymns that really dealt with letting go, I chose to honor the trees, and so our hymns are about the earth. So.
If you are with us today on Zoom and would like to wave goodbye at the end of service, please turn on your cameras now. Please join me in our words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please stay for potluck.
It was a lot of fun.
You did 2 services in a short.
Yeah, well, it was the same service both times, so.
Not really.
Hi. Yes. Nick Cardell. I do. Oh, how wonderful. And what is your name? Sally Haley Frank. Nice to meet you, Sally. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you could share that with me. I do remember Vera. She was, yeah. Then I can't. You know, I'm at the age where people are I can't keep track. It's so sad. I know. But, I mean, when you're younger, you go through the wedding phase, and when you're older, you go through the funeral phase. It's the circle of life. Oh, thank you for asking me. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
It was wonderful you sang Let It Go. Did you see?
Yes, I did.
Coffee over there?